There is a vitamin that the majority of men over 50 are deficient in, not borderline low, clinically deficient. And the research shows that this single deficiency suppresses testosterone production, collapses sleep architecture, reduces nitric oxide availability in your blood vessels, and directly impairs the biological mechanism behind erection quality. What makes this remarkable is not the vitamin itself. What makes it remarkable is a study from the Medical University of Vienna that followed 2,099 men over a 12-year period and found that men with sufficient levels of this vitamin had testosterone levels that were on average 34% higher, reported significantly better sleep depth and duration, and had measurably better vascular function than men who were deficient. 34% higher testosterone from one vitamin. And the overwhelming majority of men over 50 do not have enough of it. I'm Dr. Emily Carter, a board-certified urologist with over 12 years of experience helping men over 60 restore the hormonal and vascular health they thought age had permanently taken from them. When men come to me with complaints about energy, erection quality, and sleep, the first thing I do is show them what the research actually says, because the clinical evidence in this area consistently surprises people and almost always puts far more control back in their hands than they expected. If this is the kind of evidence-based content you want more of, please hit the like button right now. It helps this reach men who genuinely need this information. Leave a comment below and tell me, when was the last time you had your vitamin D levels tested? Most men I ask have never had it checked. And subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next, because everything in this channel connects. Let me walk you through exactly what is happening in your body after 50 and why this one vitamin sits at the center of so much of it. The first problem is what researchers call the andropause cascade. After 50, testosterone levels in men decline at an average rate of 1 to 2% per year. That sounds manageable until you realize that by 65, many men have lost 20 to 30% of the testosterone they had at 40. But here is what most men are never told. This decline is not inevitable to the degree most people assume. It is heavily influenced by modifiable biological factors, and vitamin D is one of the most powerful of them. Testicular Leydig cells, which are the primary cells responsible for producing testosterone, contain vitamin D receptors. When vitamin D levels are adequate, these receptors activate gene expression that directly upregulates testosterone synthesis. A study from Graz Medical University in Austria randomized 214 men into two groups. One received vitamin D supplementation, one received a placebo over 12 months. The supplemented group saw testosterone levels rise by an average of 25.2%. The placebo group showed no significant change. This was not a small pilot study. This was a randomized controlled trial, the gold standard of medical evidence. The second problem is the sleep testosterone feedback loop that collapses in vitamin D deficient men. Here is the mechanism. Vitamin D regulates the production of melatonin by modulating enzymes in the pineal gland that control melatonin synthesis. When vitamin D is low, melatonin production becomes dysregulated, delayed in onset and reduced in amplitude. This disrupts the slow wave and REM sleep stages during which the body secretes the majority of its daily testosterone. A study from the National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey analyzed data from 3,342 men and found that vitamin D deficiency was independently associated with a significantly higher risk of sleep disorders, including difficulty initiating sleep, reduced total sleep time, and poor sleep quality scores. The men in the lowest quartile for vitamin D had sleep quality scores that were 41% worse than men in the highest quartile. 41%. And poor sleep means less testosterone. Less testosterone means worse sleep. It is a biological spiral that vitamin D deficiency initiates and sustains. The third problem brings us directly to erection quality. Nitric oxide is the molecule your blood vessels use to dilate and allow increased blood flow during an erection. The enzyme that produces nitric oxide, endothelial nitric oxide synthase, requires adequate vitamin D to function at full capacity. A study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition tracked 1,822 men over 8 years and found that men with vitamin D levels below 20 nanograms per milliliter were 1.3 times more likely to develop erectile dysfunction compared to men with optimal levels above 30 nanograms per milliliter. The researchers identified the nitric oxide pathway impairment as the primary driver. Your arteries are trying to do their job. Vitamin D is part of the raw material they need to do it. Now let me tell you what the research shows actually works, and why timing matters more than most men realize. The first intervention is optimizing not just your vitamin D intake, but the form and the timing. Most men who take vitamin D take it in the morning. But here is what the clinical evidence tells us. Vitamin D taken at night produces measurably better outcomes for sleep quality specifically. A study from the University of Turin on 456 adults with documented vitamin D insufficiency found that nighttime supplementation improved sleep onset latency, total sleep time, and sleep efficiency scores significantly more than the same dose taken in the morning. The proposed mechanism is that evening supplementation more closely mirrors the natural synthesis pattern of vitamin D from sun exposure earlier in the day, allowing it to work in concert with the pineal gland's evening melatonin ramp-up rather than against it. I want to tell you about a patient I'll call David. He came to me at 61 complaining of 3 things: erections that were noticeably weaker than 2 years prior, energy that crashed every afternoon regardless of how much he slept, and sleep that he described as thin. He'd wake at 3 in the morning and lie there for hours. His testosterone on lab work was at the low end of normal. His vitamin D was 19 nanograms per milliliter, clinically deficient. We started him on vitamin D3 at 5,000 international units taken with dinner alongside magnesium glycinate, which is required for vitamin D conversion to its active hormonal form. Within 6 weeks, David reported sleeping through the night for the first time in years. At the 12-week follow-up, his free testosterone had risen by 22%. His energy had stabilized, and he said, and I want to quote him directly because he said it plainly, "Things are working the way they used to." His follow-up vitamin D level was 41 nanograms per milliliter. 1 intervention, 3 measurable outcomes. The second area where the evidence is overwhelming is the vitamin D and magnesium codependency that almost no one talks about. Vitamin D cannot convert to its biologically active form, calcitriol, without magnesium-dependent enzymes. A study from the Vanderbilt University Medical Center on 317 participants found that individuals with low magnesium status showed limited response to vitamin D supplementation regardless of dose. In plain terms, if your magnesium is low, your vitamin D supplementation is largely wasted. For men over 50, this matters enormously because the same mechanisms that accelerate vitamin D depletion, chronic stress, poor sleep, processed food diets, also deplete magnesium. The research recommendation is clear. If you are supplementing vitamin D, you must address magnesium simultaneously. The target for men over 50 is between 300 and 400 milligrams of magnesium glycinate or magnesium threonate daily, taken at the same time as the vitamin D in the evening. Another patient comes to mind. I'll call him Thomas. 66, active, ate reasonably well, exercised 3 times a week. On paper, he was doing everything right, but his erection quality had declined significantly over 18 months, and his morning testosterone was consistently below 400 nanograms per deciliter, despite no other obvious pathology. His vitamin D was 22 nanograms per milliliter. His red blood cell magnesium, which is a far more accurate measure than serum magnesium, was in the lowest quartile. He had been taking a standard vitamin D supplement for 2 years with no improvement in his levels because his magnesium deficiency was blocking conversion. We corrected both simultaneously. At 16 weeks, his vitamin D had risen to 38 nanograms per milliliter. His testosterone had increased to 530 nanograms per deciliter, and he reported that his energy in the morning, which he described as having been flat for years, felt like it had come back. He used the phrase, "switched on." That is the vitamin D testosterone sleep connection working as the research predicts it should. The third intervention the evidence strongly supports is optimizing the specific form of vitamin D you take. Not all vitamin D supplements are equal. Vitamin D2, ergocalciferol, is the form found in most cheap multivitamins and many prescription formulations. Vitamin D3, cholecalciferol, is the form your skin synthesizes from sunlight and is biologically far superior. A meta-analysis published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, reviewing 23 randomized controlled trials, found that vitamin D3 was approximately 87% more potent at raising serum vitamin D levels compared to the same dose of vitamin D2. If you are taking a supplement and your levels are not rising, check the label. If it says D2, that is your answer. The fourth piece of this puzzle is the zinc connection. Zinc is a cofactor in the same enzymatic pathways that convert vitamin D to its active hormonal form, and it is independently essential for testosterone synthesis. A study from Wayne State University on 40 healthy men found that zinc restriction over 20 weeks reduced testosterone levels by a striking 73% in young men and by an average of 48% in men over 50. Zinc-rich foods, oysters, red meat, pumpkin seeds, hemp seeds, should accompany your evening supplementation protocol to ensure the full hormonal cascade is supported at every step. The fifth intervention with strong research backing is strategic morning sun exposure as a foundation beneath your supplementation. A study from the Dermatology Research and Practice Journal on 681 men found that 15 to 20 minutes of direct sun exposure between 10 in the morning and 2 in the afternoon on arms and legs produced sufficient vitamin D synthesis in lighter-skinned men to raise serum levels by approximately 3 to 5 nanograms per milliliter per week. For darker-skinned men, the requirement is approximately 3 to 5 times longer due to higher melanin content filtering UVB radiation. Supplementation is essential for most men over 50 regardless. Skin synthesis efficiency drops by approximately 50% between age 20 and age 70. But morning sun exposure compounds the benefit and also resets the circadian clock, which further supports the sleep architecture improvements we've been discussing. One more patient I want to share with you. I'll call him Frank. 68, type 2 diabetic, slightly overweight, came to me after his primary care physician dismissed his complaints about fatigue and low libido as normal for his age. His vitamin D was 14 nanograms per milliliter, severely deficient. His testosterone was 260 nanograms per deciliter. His sleep study showed almost no slow-wave sleep whatsoever. We implemented the full protocol: vitamin D3 at 6,000 international units with dinner, magnesium glycinate at 350 milligrams, zinc at 25 milligrams, and a commitment to a 15-minute morning walk daily for the sun exposure component. At 20 weeks, Frank's vitamin D had reached 36 nanograms per milliliter. His testosterone had risen to 390 nanograms per deciliter. His energy, in his own words, had come back from the dead, and his wife called my office, which patients occasionally do, to tell me that he seemed like a different person. That is not anecdote. That is the biology working exactly as the research predicts. Here is your complete evidence-based action plan. Step 1. Get your vitamin D level tested. Ask your doctor for a 25-hydroxy vitamin D blood test. The optimal range for men over 50, based on current research, is between 40 and 60 nanograms per milliliter. Below 30 is insufficient. Below 20 is deficient. Most men over 50 are below 30 without knowing it. Step 2. Start vitamin D3, not D2, at a dose appropriate to your deficiency level. Most men over 50 who are deficient require between 4,000 and 6,000 international units daily to reach and maintain optimal levels. Confirm your specific dose with your physician based on your lab results. Step 3. Take your vitamin D3 with your evening meal. The research supports nighttime dosing for superior sleep outcomes. Always take it with food containing fat, as vitamin D is fat-soluble and absorption drops dramatically without dietary fat present. Step 4. Add magnesium glycinate or magnesium threonate at 300 to 400 milligrams taken alongside your vitamin D in the evening. This is not optional if you want full vitamin D conversion to its active hormonal form. Step 5. Add zinc at 25 milligrams with your evening protocol. Food sources like pumpkin seeds and red meat count toward this. Do not exceed 40 milligrams of supplemental zinc daily without medical supervision, as it can interfere with copper absorption. Step 6. Commit to 15 to 20 minutes of morning sun exposure at least 5 days per week. Face, arms, and legs exposed. No sunscreen for this window. This is your natural foundation and circadian reset beneath your supplementation protocol. I need you to hear something important right now. If you have been told that your fatigue, your declining erection quality, and your poor sleep are simply what getting older looks like, I want you to understand that the clinical evidence does not support that conclusion. What the data actually tells us is that these 3 symptoms in men over 50 are overwhelmingly correlated with correctable biological deficiencies, and vitamin D deficiency sits at the intersection of all 3. The men in these studies, men in their 60s and 70s, some with long-standing deficiencies, showed measurable, significant reversal of these symptoms when the underlying deficiency was corrected. Your Leydig cells still have vitamin D receptors. Your endothelial cells still produce nitric oxide when given the right inputs. Your pineal gland still responds to vitamin D's signal. Your body has not forgotten how to do this. It has been waiting for the raw materials. Before you go, I want to hear from you. Leave a comment and tell me, which of these 3, energy, erection quality, or sleep, has been the biggest challenge for you over the past few years? Your answer helps me build the content that actually serves you. And if this video gave you something useful, share it with one man who needs it. One share from you could change everything for someone else. I'm Dr. Emily Carter. The research is unambiguous. One vitamin, taken in the right form, at the right time, with the right cofactors, can simultaneously move testosterone, sleep quality, and vascular function in the direction you want. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next one.